Eversolo seems to be a name that has taken the audio world by storm. While some audio companies have been around for decades and have set the standard for many of the great audio devices we know and love today, the Eversolo brand is relatively new to the game and is already playing in the big leagues. The Eversolo DMP-A6, DMP-A6 Master Edition, and DMP-A8 are their three streamer DAC preamp units that we will take a look at and break down everything that they are capable of and what the differences are to help you decide which one of them might be right for you. Now let's get started. As high-resolution music streaming has taken off, we've seen more and more people add music streamers to their systems. However, these units from Eversolo are much more than just music streamers. The combination of being a streamer DAC preamp also allows you to choose your music, change the volume, and control everything from your phone without needing multiple apps or remotes. In addition, these units include just about every feature many people will ever need or want. But when competing in a category with brands like NAD, Name, Bluesound, and more, there's no doubt that Eversolo has a lot to live up to. So can Eversolo live up to the hype? Well, let's find out. When you look at the build quality for each of these units, it's quite impressive for the price point. They each have a brushed aluminum front faceplate with a frosted anodized aluminum top and grills on the sides, which give it an overall clean and modern look. And on the right side of the front is a volume knob that is also the power button when pressed in. We were also quite happy to see an adjustable LED light around the volume knobs, which adds an extra touch of elegance. Now these units, while they are light, they feel well built and very solid overall, leaving us no complaints in the build quality department. But the real star of the show here is the beautiful 6-inch touchscreen that expands to the edge of the top and bottom of the unit. The screen is bright and colorful and feels similar to an iPhone touchscreen. We've all used touchscreens where you need to apply more pressure or awkwardly drag your finger and wait for the screen to catch up to you. Well, that isn't the case with any of these Eversolo units, as the glass touchscreen is convenient to use rather than cumbersome. To many, this screen, well, it may not be a huge deal to them, as they're gonna end up using their phone and sitting far away from it anyways. However, it does add a gorgeous look to your setup, and with many display options available, it can simply just add a cool factor to anyone's setup. We'll dive deeper into the software and user experience on the screen in the next section. The DMP-A6 and DMP-A6 Master Edition share the same size, except you get a gold Eversolo badge and nameplate on the front of the unit. Even the LED around the volume knob is an orange hue instead of white. Now there are more differences than just the gold bling on the front, which we will also cover in the next section. Now these units are about 10.6 inches wide, 3.5 inches tall, and 7.4 inches deep, which is not full width like some other units. Instead, they're about 6.5 inches smaller in width, closer to the size of a Name Unity Atom, making them a little easier to fit in a smaller space or a desk or smaller shelf. The DMP-A8 has the same design as the other units, but is in a slightly wider and deeper case with the dimensions of about 15 inches wide, 3.5 inches tall, and 9.8 inches deep. These larger dimensions are due to the different components and input outputs that the A8 provides compared to the A6 and A6 Master Edition. Everything else about the design stays the same as the other units, including the beautiful 6-inch touchscreen. Now when you boot up any of these units, they all have the same setup process. It's very straightforward and will have you up and running within minutes. However, there are a few tips and tricks we've discovered during our time of testing that we've included in our setup guide that we send to all audio device purchasers. Now these are minor adjustments such as setting your max volume, enabling the highest stream quality available, and a couple others, but they're gonna ensure that you get the very best results from any of these Eversolo units. Let's transition to the inside. Each unit utilizes an ARM Cortex-A55 quad-core processor to run a custom version of Android 11 for the software. Now it's clear here that Eversolo has really made some effort to make the user interface extremely intuitive and easy to use. In addition, the processor handles the software with ease, as every single interaction on screen was extremely responsive, and we experienced virtually zero lag on any of the units throughout our testing. Now each unit also includes an XMOS 3rd Gen 16-core processor, which allows fast speeds and high USB bandwidth, ensuring the lossless transmission of high-def audio data. The USB ports support DSD 512 native and PCM 768 kHz 32 bits. The optical and coax ports support DSD64 and PCM 192 kHz 24-bit. They can play back almost every format including FLAC, WAV, APE, and more. Now, The home screen will have icons for music, streaming, files, sources, and settings. Below those main controls, you can also customize a row of apps to show your most used streaming services, apps, or music cloud drivers. And what's really nice is as you click on each one of the main icons, it actually teaches you how to use the interface. For example, it shows you that you can swipe from the left of the screen while in the music screen to show the menu bar, or click the top right button to get back to the track that is currently playing. These quick tips only show up the first time you enter each section, and then they don't show again after that. Again, the entire interface is relatively simple, and we expect most people to pick it up quickly after playing around for just a few minutes. However, in our setup for audio device purchasers, we will show you how to take it a step further and customize the interface to your liking. One of our favorite aspects of the interface was the screen when you have the music playing. In Qobuz, it shows the artwork, song title, artist, album, song resolution, output resolution, and more. But the cool part is you can change that screen to many different layouts, giving you options on what you want on the screen while playing your music. They even have 3 different view meters that you can have on screen too, which is pretty cool. Now, one of the most important aspects of a streamer is the quality of their mobile app. Luckily, Eversolo's does not disappoint. You have all the controls right at your fingertips in an organized and streamlined app. You can access all your music, change all the settings, and even change the volume from your phone. One really unique feature is the ability to cast the screen from your Eversolo directly to your phone. The screencast feature pulls up a direct screencast of what is on the screen and is completely interactive. Now, what we found the screencast most useful for was the third-party apps. Since the third-party apps are not accessible in the Eversolo app natively, you can easily just mirror the screen, open Apple Music or other third-party apps, and have complete control of your music that way. It's a clever workaround that seems to work rather well. And if you like using a remote instead of your phone, the A8 will come with one, but you will need to purchase one with the A6 models. When you tap the streaming icon, it will show you the music services that are already installed and tailored to work seamlessly on the Eversolo units, such as these. In addition, multiple third-party apps can be sideloaded, like Apple Music, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and more. We found that even the side-loaded apps still look beautiful, even though the UX isn't quite as good as those designed for Eversolo. So you're still covered if you're looking for Apple Music or Spotify. Remember, you will have to use the touchscreen or the screencast method to control the music in a third-party app instead of the Eversolo app. Now, another cool thing is that all of these apps, even third-party ones like Apple Music, can still play the original sampling rate thanks to the EOS, or the Eversolo Original Sampling Rate audio engine, which was developed to completely bypass the Android SRC restriction. So yes, no matter what your streaming app of choice is, you will get the highest resolution offered when using its app. In addition, each unit is Roon ready, supports Tidal Connect, Qobuz Connect, DLNA, AirPlay, and has Bluetooth 5.0. Each unit also has a small hatch on the bottom that supports a 4TB M.2 SSD with music loaded on it. You can also attach a network storage device, and it will retrieve the music metadata from the cloud and build a custom music library by matching artists, album covers, and more. However, when we were doing our testing here, there seemed to be some missing artwork still, and it didn't always work perfectly, but we do expect it to get even better with more software updates. To add music, you can use one of the USBs on the back to connect to a PC for local file copying and management. You can also use the SMB function to share files from your device, essentially turning it into a network storage device to play your files on other devices. This is probably something that most people won't end up using, but it's a really cool feature that we will show you how to utilize in our setup guide. In addition, you can connect a CD player and utilize the CD Rip app to rip CDs directly to your device. It does all the work for you and losslessly rips tracks and generates the artist and album info. Alright, let's move to the back of these units. We will begin with the A6 units since these share the same inputs and outputs. There are 3 antennas, one for Bluetooth and the other 2 are for Wi-Fi. You get a gigabit Ethernet port, HDMI out, USB-A for connecting to an attached drive, a USB-A, coax digital in, optical digital in, USB-C for computer audio in, RCA analog outs, and balanced XLR analog outs. The A8 has everything that the A6 versions have, except the USB-C input is USB-B. In addition, it has an HDMI IIS out, which can connect to DACs with different IIS signals. It also has more digital inputs, including 2 coax, 2 optical, and an HDMI ARC. It has 2 analog inputs, 1 RCA and 1 balanced, along with the same output set as the A6 units. Finally, a trigger out port to link with power amps. This gives the A8 a ton of input flexibility, making it a full-feature preamp. Both units include an option to adjust a graphic and parametric EQ on the screen or in the app. However, the A8 adds a FIR filter, a compressor, a delay, and a high-pass and low-pass filter option, although there's really no use for that last one. We like the fact that you get parametric EQ on these, which sets them apart from most streamer DAC combos on the market. Just about any room will have peaks at certain frequencies based on the shape of the room and the way the frequencies interact. These peaks greatly color the sound, which is why we are such big fans of systems with automatic room correction. You will generally see this in home theater products, and while it's a bit more work to use a parametric EQ, it can do a great job at removing the peaks. Some units might have tone controls that give you fixed frequencies to adjust, but the parametric EQ in the Eversolo units lets you adjust down to a specific frequency and adjust how steep or wide that adjustment is. So if you have peaks at 37 Hz and 121 Hz, you can dial into those specific ones. You will need to use something like Room EQ Wizard to find those peaks, but if you want to really get into it and fix your room, it's great to see that these tools are on hand. If you will be using the DAC inside these units, one of the most important aspects to many will be which model is used. For the A6 and A6 Master Edition, there are two ESS Sabre ES9038 Q2M DACs. The A8 steps up to AKM AK4499EX and AKM AK4191EQ DACs. These are no doubt a big step up in quality, and it was evident in our testing. Since we are audio geeks and like to really dive in, we decided to look up the raw parts cost difference in the two DACs. The AKM is a very expensive one, as the DACs cost about 2 times as much as the ESS, which explains the audio differences that we heard. And if you already have an incredibly good DAC without streaming, you can simply attach an Eversolo with any of its digital outs. Now there are a few more differences between the A6 and the A6 Master Edition and A8. The standard A6 has 2 high-precision crystal oscillators to reduce jitter, while the A6 Master Edition and A8 step up to a femto clock system with ultra-low noise and jitter for an even more pure sound. This is important because when a clock signal drifts even the slightest, it creates small variations between samples, causing timing errors in the audio signal being played. Getting this timing as accurate as possible is what really brings the music to life, making it sound more like a live performance. Now, all 3 units are fully balanced from the output of the DACs, which reduces any noise to a minimum. Eversolo also paid a lot of attention to hand selecting the parts used in all of the circuitry. You see names like Wimma and Nichicon, which we'll normally expect to see in uber high-end audio components. This is also where there's another big difference between the basic A6 and A6 Master and A8. The better units use OPA 1612 op amps, while the A6 uses OPA 1642, which cost half of the better one. The OPA 1612 offers a warmer sound while maintaining a silky smooth and extended top end. The A6 models have the same high-performance power module, and the A8 steps up to a dual power supply. Anyone worth their salt in audio knows that the power supply can make a large difference in audio quality, as the better ones will have much less noise and support all of the components much better. And again, we suspect this also contributed to why the A8 sounded the best of all 3. The A8 also includes an R2R volume control circuit. This is another high-end feature that is unusual for this price range. The large board is all precision resistors and relays for perfect accuracy, even at very low levels, while reducing noise and distortion. With all of the fierce competition in the fast expanding category of streamer DAC preamps, we knew Eversolo would have to do something special to stand out amongst the crowd. We put each of these units to the test against each other and then against some of the competition to see if they're worth your hard-earned dollars. Now, we tested each unit with a pair of JBL HDI 3800 passive speakers running into an Anthem MCA 225 Gen 2 using balanced audio cables. In our testing, the DMP-A6 did really well with every genre of music that we threw at it. If we had to choose a word to describe the overall sound, it would be neutral. There was a ton of detail in each track we played, and everything sounded wide open and lifelike. Now, when we stepped up to the A6 Master Edition, you could tell it was cut from the same cloth, but the better analog output stage and clock revealed some differences. The A6 Master Edition had a much smoother and slightly more effortless top end. Playing a very rhythmic track like Pink Houses by John Mellencamp seemed to really come alive a bit more with the Master Edition due to the improved clock inside. In our opinion, if you have speakers that are pretty revealing, the price difference between the two is really worth it to step up to the Master Edition. It will probably be the primary source for most people, and we always think you should put a good bit of your audio budget into your source components, as if all the little details that make music fun never make it to your speakers, they can't just create them from nowhere. Now, when we tested the DMP-A8, it was a totally different story. AKM calls the new top-of-the-line series of DACs Velvet Sound, and that turned out to be 100% true. The A8 produced an almost analog-like digital sound with an ultra-quiet background. When we tested the classic Time from Pink Floyd, every single instrument felt like it had its own space and incredible separation. We love it when a unit reveals even more tiny details, yet keeps an ultra smooth sound, which is exactly what the A8 did for us. Yes, it is more expensive than either of the A6 units, but if you have a great system, you will easily hear the upgrade here. You will be able to add any of these units to a home theater system, integrated amp, or preamp. If your unit supports balanced cables, we recommend going that way. For example, if you want a simple but amazing system, adding one of these to a good 2-channel power amp is a really great way to go. Your power needs will depend on your speakers and room, but there are a lot of great power amps from Rotel, Arcam, NAD Macintosh, and more that will fit the bill. Now, we told you at the beginning we would let you know how these stacked up against the competition. We felt these probably offer one of the best values in audio for the price. When you look at all the features and the level of components, they're pretty astounding. But if the entry-level A6 is a stretch for you, one of our favorite DAC preamp streamers for the money is the classic Blue Sound Node. We did compare the A6 to the Node and felt it slightly edged the Node out, but just by a little bit. If you do not need the touchscreen and would like a subwoofer out and HDMI ARC input, it is hard to beat the Node for the money. However, if you are thinking about getting high performance speakers now or in the future, it is always best to get the best source that you can. Alright, I hope this comprehensive overview and our review of the Eversolo units has given you an in-depth look and understanding of what each of these units has to offer. Now, if you have further questions or want to know which one is best for you, contact our experts via chat, phone, or email, or you can simply stop by one of our world-class showrooms to experience these speakers, projectors, TVs, and everything in between for yourself before you make a purchase. And remember, when you're buying from Audio Advice, you're buying from a trusted seller since 1978. We offer free shipping, lifetime expert support, and our price guarantee. Also, one of the best ways to support us is if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notifications so you never miss out on any of our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.